Hi everyone, welcome to the Art of DJing vlog. My name is DJ Liquid. I've been running this series of group discussions and interviews in the attempt to expose more people to the art form of DJing and different aspects of the art form, and also to some of the people pushing the art form forward. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy what you see. Cheers. So before we start, if you can give people a bit of introduction about, I guess, yourself, like your artist name, I guess where you're from, what sort of labels you play with, all stuff like that.
Cool. My name's Tyler. I've been DJing for a bit over 15 years now. I'm from the west coast of Canada. I grew up and lived most of my life in a town called Kelowna, just near Vancouver. And yeah, man, I taught myself how to DJ. I was going to raves before that. I started going to raves in like 1999. And I just loved electronic music. And mostly at that time, like new school breaks and drum and bass were kind of what I was really into back then.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of people playing it where I lived. So I just, I decided I wanted to teach myself.
Yep.
Bought some decks, bought a mixer, taught myself how to DJ.
Yep.
And then I went to audio school in 2004, learned how to make records, started producing.
Yep.
And then like right around that time, I got invited. Well, I kind of like won a DJ contest to play in the Fractal Forest at Shambhala.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, basically what happened was Richie Rich is the guy who runs the Fractal Forest. So he lived in Kelowna at the time, and there was an opening for some slots. So he kind of just had like an impromptu kind of like jam at this place called the Grateful Fed. And I had a lot of support. I just at that time in 2005 played at 2 raves in Kelowna with this crew called the Liquid Beat Crew.
Yep.
Shout outs to them. And those are the guys who gave me my first chance, and they were pretty like influential in the local scene. So they kind of had Rich's ear, and they're like, "Yo, you should give this kid a chance." So I went and like played a little set at the Fed. And I can't remember if J-Pod did that night too, or if he knew J-Pod. Like Pod was playing at these Liquid Beat parties too.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of the two that got, recommended to him and given a chance. So J-Pod and I both played our first sets in 2005 in the Fractal that year.
Oh cool.
And then we played every year since then.
Yeah, amazing.
Last year was my 15th year.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, like in more like recent years, and especially since like you released the album a couple of years ago, like you've been kind of more and more kind of getting more recognition for your original music, obviously. But I think even till this day, you're quite well known for your DJ sets, and
Yeah.
obviously when you were starting up, quite more. And like now, I mean, you still release your Shambhala mix every year, and I mean that's won a few awards in the past, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you definitely still like have kind of a big recognition for your live sets still.
Totally.
So like you said, you started in raves about 15 years ago. What were like some of the first kind of DJs you were kind of exposed to, I guess?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, who are like the real influential ones, and there's been a few. So I'm gonna say there's this guy named DJ Rectangle.
Yeah, no Rectangle. Yeah, of
man.
course. Yeah, yeah.
So like Vinyl Combat was like one of these first mixes I got like so long ago. But after I did a bit more research on like why I love that mix so much is because he was one of the first guys doing like multi-track mixes. So like some of the mixes in Vinyl Combat, there's like so many things going on at once. Like he's flipping instrumentals under acapellas and flipping acapellas over instrumentals more than 2 turntables can do.
Yeah.
And like those mixes, aside from him being so good at scratching, like the execution of those mixes was amazing because he was utilizing technology to really push what a mixtape could do. So DJ Rectangle, and then like DJ Shadow and Cut Chemist.
Yeah,
like,
Cut Chemist the man.
Oh
sure.
man, when I heard Brain Freeze, that like blew my mind on like the funk spectrum and the scratching and how those guys were cutting things up. And then like I really fell in love with DJ Shadow, and then like even I really love Brain Freeze, but I think In Tune and On Time, it was just like that recording of the concert that he did in London. The execution of that set and how he puts music together, like Shadow's really in that one, especially like it really does harmonic mixing and transitions.
Yeah,
And
I think he's probably more known for his, like in recent years, for his production. Like, yeah, but like back then for sure, it was about all the mixtapes.
yeah,
100%.
man, they were such great DJs. He really especially in Tune It On Time, like the flow of the mix and the harmonic mixing and how he jumped genres using samples and transitioned. Yeah, that was super influential. And then, so yeah, those two on like the hip hop kind of scratching.
Did you get to see those guys live back then?
Yeah, actually, like Shadow and Cut Chemist was one of the first DJ shows I ever went to. Yeah. I went to Vancouver and saw them at the Commodore. I saw them like 2 or 3 times, and Brain Freeze. I think it was a Brain Freeze, like when they were doing that era. Tour, was the first one, and then I saw them a couple other times. They had like cameras on their hands one other time when they were scratching, and yeah, it was so sick. Yeah. There was this DJ in the West Coast. He's from Seattle. His name's Dig Dug. He was a really. I know the name. I think I heard of him. Yeah. He was a really amazing breaks DJ, and he had this CD called Dig This, and he was a great mixer. So I remember listening. I think I just always really appreciated people who were good at like mixing and long mixes, like and mixing harmonically, and like I'm from a pretty musical family, so I think I just like gravitate towards like, you know, musicianship within DJing and stuff like that. So that, and yeah, who else? There's someone else, but I think those ones really made an impact early on.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear it, like definitely the kind of stuff that you do, because it's a lot more kind of mashup based and harmonically based. Yeah, definitely not as only like technical like some of the guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely so that trying to like kind of build a story sort of thing. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So using stems and acapellas and like switching genres and using the pieces to tell stories through music, and really a lot of like preparation and like intention on how things flow. You know, I'll spend countless hours on one mix until you know I've tried every possibility of vocal and combination and genre, and you know, I'll sit there when I'm making my Shambhala sets. You know, now they're only 1 hour sets, but I'll spend, I don't even know, from I'm always like kind of taking the best mixes that I've figured out through the years and then compiling those and then finding new stuff and stuff. But I don't even know, who knows, like hundreds of hours on that 1 hour set when it all comes down to it. And especially when you take into account like some new songs that I've made or whatever.
Before I get into, I guess, more present day, I just want to know, like, I guess what sort of music and events you kind of did when you were starting up, and is that has changed much like to present day?
It hasn't really changed. I mean, like the Liquid Beat parties that I got played or booked for they were raves, I guess. And I say I still play at raves for the most part, you know, and raves are just dance parties. The scene changed in the fact that, you know, back then, and this was like 2005, and even it was starting to move more into clubs and stuff. But like when I was going to raves and things, they were all illegal parties. Like there weren't clubs really throwing those kinds of shows. And then just dance music got really popular, in North America. So like bars started having DJ shows because they can make money, you know, things like that. So it just kind of inevitably moved to clubs for club shows. But I still mostly like, you know, play lots of festivals, which could be classified as a rave or a big dance party and stuff. Like I'm still playing dance music that I think is cool to people who want to dance. You know?
All right. So as far as more, I guess, present day, I think I want to know like what sort of aspects, we kind of covered a few, but like what are the aspects in DJing that like really inspire you, that you really like, and you're kind of like passionate about and want to, I guess, push forward?
Yeah. Like, I mean, to me, the main goal is just to make something that's super fun to listen to. You know, the end goal for me is that people who come to listen to my sets are having a good time and dancing. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to orchestrate that. And then at the same time, I'm trying to like push music to do as many interesting things as I can. And because I like, you know, the main things I play are like funky bass music and like glitch hop type stuff, and then drum and bass, and like I've been playing lots of kind of house tempo stuff too, and then everywhere in between then. So instead of just playing like a section of that and then stopping and then playing another genre, I'm like, how can I bridge those gaps and figure out nice like smooth transitions? And you know, I do that with
I think that's what like a lot of people think is famous about your sets, at least for me, is like the transitioning really smoothly between genres back and forth as well. It's not just going up, it's kind of like going back down again. For sure.
And like, you know, some of the guys who were doing that first was like A Skills was like really good at that. And like, you know, when I was buying those records back in the day, like insane bangers records and stuff, you know, there'd be a track and the intro would be an acapella or just a drum loop, or the outro would be just an acapella or a drum loop. And you could do such cool mixes with that, because it really left it open to interpretation of whatever you wanted to do. So like I was inspired by that sort of format, and then like expanding on that, you know, now with technology in Ableton, I can make it so that like, yeah, the track, you know, it ends in an acapella, but like I can make that like change through a breakdown into a completely different genre. And I can be taking, you know, so say we're in like glitch hop and I'm going to go to drum and bass or down to drum and bass, or like, you know, there's so many ways to do it, but I can also take the vocal from that drum and bass song and have that in the glitch hop or mid-tempo thing, even 1 or 2 songs before. So it's like you're foreshadowing where you're going to go in like 2 or 3 songs. And then you do that all harmonically, you know, so it's in the same key, so it sounds totally natural. And then when you know, flip it into that, you know, people, it's like reading a story where you foreshadow something's going to happen, you know. And
you can really tell that like when you're listening to the Shambhala assets as well, like you said, like you'll hear an acapella and then later on it kind of comes back and it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of like this continuation, like building of a story. Totally. You definitely have those.
And then I'd say just like over the years I've gotten better at executing those kind of things, and like, you know, just
So I was gonna ask you about, we kind of covered that, about like your thought process when you're preparing a set, but I think not as much the technical side, but more so like what you want to showcase and express. So I think we kind of covered some of it, but if you want to, I don't know.
Well, I'm just basically like throughout the year, you know, like making music, and all, like, you know, all my best friends are musicians who make music that I love, and like I'm on tons of promo lists, and I go and buy tons of music still online wherever, but I'm basically just collecting music that I think is awesome. And then you sit there, you know, it's like you're making a nice dinner. You have all these ingredients and you're like, hey, how do I put these things together? And, you know, some things aren't going to taste good mixed together, and you need to figure out how to get from A to B. So I'll usually like group things by genre and then by key, and then figure out how to get from A to B in the best way possible. And, you know, usually I'll make little combos of stuff that's in the same key. And then, you know, so like I'll have those, and then to do it right, I need the stems. So I need the vocals and sometimes just the drums. And like, fuck, all my friends hate me around Sham time. So I'm like, hey man, like, love the song. Can you give me all the stems? And then they'll send me the stems. I'm like, I need the drums without like this little fucking thing in it. Cause like when I speed it up or slow it down, like this little thing, or like I need the guitars without reverbs because I don't like what your reverb's doing. And this like relentlessly every year. I don't think I've lost any friends over it yet, but I'm sure I'm close sometimes.
So obviously you're trying to basically showcase, like you said, a story of like piecing things, I guess, favorite beats of music that you like, and kind of making something new out of it, a new experience. How about there's any technical aspects do you try to showcase in your sets that you kind of plan on?
I mean, I practice scratching so much, and like I always like mean to do more scratching and stuff, but to me, I don't know, scratching is like a meditation skill, you know, for me, that I just really like doing, and I don't necessarily like to do a ton of it during my sets. And there's a part of me that also feels too much scratching in a live set people don't even really like hearing.
Yeah, it goes over people's heads sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I'm never really like, I want to do this in the set just because it's really technical and chin strokey, and like, wow, I'm such a smart person to do this, you know. I never think of it that way, but I'm always thinking of like, I'm just trying to, you know, do something cool. And like, how do I do this to that? Or like, and you're basically, when you're switching genres and doing stuff like that, you're controlling energy, you know. You can really make a fucking dance floor pop with like switching genres the right way, you know.
And I guess that's what you're good at, and what you kind of, I guess, is known for now as well, for doing that very smoothly, you know. Yeah. I think like for me, I guess when I meant about technical, when I was asking about technical stuff, the DJs that I really look up to are the people who can bring some of those elements, like the scratching and that maybe go over people's heads, but do it in a way that kind of doesn't break the dance floor. You know what I mean? Like, I really like people who kind of are able to bring those elements into a dance floor, and not just like into like a battle where it's just like, you know, scratch nerds looking at it and like losing their mind, where it's just like any punters and any rave can kind of enjoy it. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, like all those things and all those routines, you know, they take a lot of time to figure out. And I think like the thing, you know, in this day and age, most of us are producers. Most of us, you know, we're DJs, obviously. We also have tours to figure out, and you know, most of us have managers, but we have social media accounts. We have fucking, all of us are wearing so many hats, so it's just like you sometimes have to decide like where you're gonna dedicate your resources
100%,
to.
100%.
You know?
There's not enough time to do everything well.
So usually up until literally every single set I play, I'm always like, even if, you know, I'm usually playing like a set that I've made and prepared, but as I'm touring and I'm changing stuff, and I'm maybe thinking like, oh yeah, like in the set it's totally Simon, and then I like go here and like maybe it loses a bit of energy for whatever reason, you know. So I'm like changing and updating and trying like make things better, or like I get a new promo that's super fire, or make a new tune, I'm putting that in the set. So yeah, things are always changing, and just like, and I'm trying to like produce songs, and like so much of my energy is going to that. So to make like, you know, super complicated routines to play and stuff, just like my focus doesn't usually go there. Like the complicated routines are just like the set itself, like that's where all my
but I mean, you'll still like definitely scratch a little bit during the set. Like
there's always scratching for sure, like just with acapellas I just do it subtly and stuff, and every now and then I have a section where I'll like do some actual like cutting with the the sounds and stuff.
Okay, cool. So I'll move on. There'll be a double question. So what do you think makes a good DJ, and why? And do you think DJs should have their touch on the music rather than, I guess, playing a track after the other, and why? No.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a giant question. There's all sorts of DJs. I mean, like, I'm grateful and lucky that when I go to play a show, people, for the most part, know who I am.
Yeah.
They're familiar with my mixes or my songs, and they're coming to see me. I pretty much always go into a set with my game plan, and I play what I want to play, and it's cool. Yeah, and like I have kind of like my specialized skills on what I do, but there's guys who go and play at clubs every night where they're not necessarily known for like a whole style of music. They're just like walking into a place with a whole bunch of people, and they need to rock that fucking party, and they don't have a game plan.
That's right.
The game plan is just to like adjust to whatever needs to happen.
Read the crowd.
Read the crowd, like totally rock it, and be like super versatile in how you do that and do it well. And like that is an amazing skill to have, and that's a skill that takes years and years of like just being a DJ.
You can't learn it. Yeah, you have to be experiencing it basically.
And you have to have like a super organized computer, like all your music and stuff. You know, like my sets and how I structure all my stuff is super organized, but all my music, you know, if I had to just like go completely wing a set, like my computer's not really set up to just like, you know, I could do it, but like it's different from someone who's just going, I don't know what I'm walking into, but I'm gonna like figure it out and nail it. So I think a good DJ is just, you know, for the most part, someone who loves music and is gonna play music that they love, you know, even in the format of like going into a rock party. You know, I guess there's places where you're expected to just play radio music and top 40 kind of stuff, but I don't know, I would say a DJ should love the music he's playing. I hope, and that, you know, translates, I think. So
do you think like if I guess DJs like that who go to these events and play, I guess sometimes top 40 music, would you say would you call one of them good if they just kind of play, you know, those popular songs one after the other sort of thing, and kind of with like small fades and stuff? Or you would think they need to have a bit more of a touch on the music, you know?
Would I call them good? I mean, I don't know. If they're not really exhibiting any kind of skill, then not really. If they're just being a jukebox pressing play and stuff like that. But like, I mean, people do like top 40 music. Yeah. And there could be DJs who are really fucking passionate about it, you know? And I know I'm not necessarily
talking about the tracks, that I'm more talking about like, I guess, how they kind of blend it, and if they have their touch on the music, rather than I'm trying to basically get the difference between having a DJ play these top 40 songs or any songs, rather than having like a software, I guess, kind of fade out and fade into another song. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously like huge skill differences if you look at I don't know. I would name some guys who are like really big DJs who play a bit more on the top 40 side. But if you go see like someone who's like a hip hop turntablist, who's like a AAA top DJ,
Yeah.
compared to like Johnny Bar Dude Friday and Saturday nights at like your local pub, there's obviously going to be a massive difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so before we finish, if you maybe give some examples of DJs that you look up and inspire to these days. You obviously said some at the start, but are they the same or are they new ones?
Yeah, it's always hard to say who I'm inspired by. Like, there's a whole like neuro-based music scene of like super insane production standards now, and all the young kids. You know, that's the thing that's crazy. You know, when I went to music school in 2004, I don't even know if YouTube existed then, or if it did, it was nothing like it is today.
Yeah.
But like, there was the information that's available now is just insane. You know, the like Ableton and DAWs and all the sample packs and all the learning materials. You can learn everything for free basically now, and as long as you're motivated and have work ethic, you can learn it all.
I think that's the thing that I kind of been seeing a lot more in recent years is that there is a lot of options out there, and there's a lot of tools just at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot. So like there really isn't excuses to kind of just be very basic. I mean, you can if you want to, if that's what the situation requires. But like I guess look up to people who kind of use all these tools and all this information that you said is really available and try to create something new and push
Yeah.
the envelope a bit.
It's really hard for me to say who like I really like am looking up to, because I don't really like idolize any one person, but I appreciate so many different people
for different aspects.
Yeah, like everyone's doing really cool stuff, you know, at least the people who are making moves and getting recognized for it. And that's what's cool about music, is that everyone's doing different things.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, that's been really interesting. Thanks for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you next time. Let's go over Scratch. Huh?
What's up, Scratch, buddy? Thanks.